ARIIX success. And without any further delays, I will turn the time over to Robert. Hey, Robert.
Thank you, Rick. Hello, everybody. Look at those beautiful faces. Yeah, there we go. Beautiful faces. Hey, there's Anthony in Texas, and Kelly and Kellner, Nancy. Y'all look so beautiful when you smile. Smiling is such a good thing. Yeah, if you read that book, Presence by Amy, whatever her name is, you should probably read that book one day. Presence. It says that the best way to create trust is just to smile. It's the simplest, easiest, fastest thing to do. So remember that. Hey, Daryl, man of my own wife's name. There we go. Forgive me for being a little late. I was trying to get in for the last 10 minutes. Somehow or other, it just didn't work. So the question I'm going to ask you today is when you enroll a brand new person, you're going to explain to them your system. So what is your system for building ARIIX? I'm actually going to ask everybody to go into the chat, and I want you have 1 minute to explain what your system is. It has to be done in a simple way so that anybody else could repeat it. It has to be done in a way that's memorable so that anybody would find it easy to remember. So if you have less than a minute to explain the entire system of how you're going to build your ARIIX business, how would you describe it? I want you to ponder that question for just a minute, because that's essentially what we're going to be discussing over the next 90 days. How do you explain to somebody what your system is? What is the system for building a network marketing business? How would you describe it to somebody? Okay, so Carita has put in there, connect, communicate, community, follow up. Very, very good. That's fast. Very good. Thank you. Share, care, reach out, follow up, says Jeannie. MAT message, Carita, I'm not sure what that means, but you'll sure. Okay. Pat Klepper says, download GroupMe first, then the Facebook apps to keep in touch. Okay, Marlene says, share, show, follow up, enroll. That's certainly a lot quicker than a minute. Remember, it has to be something that they can remember. It's got to be simple, but they got to be able to remember it. So that, remember, the faster you grow your business, the faster you enroll somebody, the faster your business will grow. The slower it takes you to enroll somebody, the slower your business will enroll. If you say to somebody, well, let's get on the product and get a product testimonial, it may take months to get a product testimonial. So if you're building your business based on the product only, and it's all based on getting a testimonial in order for them to be able to believe in enough to share it with somebody else, then that's going to be a slow process. Of course, we're hoping that we're going to attract some business builders, people who want to build a business that's a health-oriented business, where we market health products. Yes, we do. But we're trying to figure out a way for when you enroll a brand new person. Well, I guess the question I would ask you is, how long did it take you the last time you enrolled somebody? How long did that take? Go back over the many times you've enrolled somebody. You brought them into the company, made them a product customer, got them excited enough so that they would be able to want to build their product business called ARIIX. How long did it take? If you've enrolled, an ordinary person enrolls 5 or less. So if you look at how many people you've personally enrolled, let's go to that. Let's go to that in the chat. Let's take the last 3 people that you enrolled in ARIIX. How long did it take from the moment you introduced them till the final moment where they enrolled and the paperwork is done and they were in? How long did it take? So I want everybody to respond to that. They'll take the last 2 or 3 people that you personally enrolled. How long did it take? So we've had all of you share what your system is. I'm going to go back to another question. Okay, I have Jeannie says 6 months. Okay, Melinda said too long. Okay, Leo Talio said the second meeting. Most were within a couple of weeks, said Kelly. Will Garson said it take 3 meetings. Okay. Anthony Moreland said 24 hours for one, 3 months for another, 2 years for another. Thank you, Anthony. Julie said 1 meeting. Everyone's going to be different, but the question is, what if there was a model is not the right word I want to use. What if there was a template? Template, that's the word I'm looking for. What is there a template? The template was, that's an ideal template. Not everyone you enroll will be ideal. But if there was an ideal template, meaning how long would it ideally take for a person to go from the first meeting to I'm in? I'm going to ask all of you the question, what would be an ideal template, a time frame? Not everyone will be the same. I get that. Some will take 2 years, some will take 2 hours. But if there was an ideal template for you to go from 0 to paperwork is done, they're in, what would be the ideal template? So I want everyone to respond to that. So we've got dozens of you. I want every one of you to respond. What is an ideal template? An ideal time frame that we could create a system around, so that if somebody entered into the ideal funnel and certain activities were taught over a period of time. Okay, so I have 2 hours. Okay, let's see. 3 days, says Jeannie. 24 to 40 hours, says Carita. 45 minutes, says Werner. Good. 1 week, says Chris. 7 to 14 days, says Anthony. Less than a week, says Melinda. 48 to 72 hours, says Sandy. 2 to 3 days. 1 to 2 weeks. 72 hours, says Christine. No, those numbers, that's my favorite number, because when I do my famous challenges, send me to any city, take away my wallet, give me a $100 bill, and in 72 hours I'll buy an excellent piece of real estate using none of my own money. I want us to all come together, and this is a brainstorming group, because I'm going to bring in top leaders over the next 90 days, and they're going to share with us what their template is, what's their mindset, what's their system. And so I want all of us to be thinking about that question. If we could design it from scratch, from 0, and say, you know, I'm just going back to what all of you responded. I hear 3 to 4 meetings, 1 to 2 days, 3 days, 24 hours, 3 days to a week, 1 week, 30 minutes, get it done, says Pat. What, within a week? It depends on how well you know the person. Can take 30 minutes to a week. And I'm going to disagree with that. I'm going to say, if eventually you're going to run out of the people you know. So eventually you're going to be in the cold market. So how long does it take from a person who you've never met before to enroll and have them come in and to say yes? What is an ideal time frame? I hear a week, I hear 30 minutes to a week, I hear 2 weeks. Okay, the way my mind works is I start off with what I think is reasonable. So when I did my challenge where I said, send me to any city and let me buy a piece of real estate with nothing down, I started off with what I thought was reasonable. And my editor at Simon and Schuster, he said to me, how long would it take for you to buy a piece of property with nothing down? Because we're going to run an ad in the Wall Street Journal to advertise your book. And the ad that he was planning on running, he showed me, and it was a terrible ad. It was very boring, wouldn't draw flies, as they say. It was just a very boring, basic ad. I said, it's got to be something that is, that grabs people's attention. And he says, like what? And this is a guy who had been in Simon & Schuster for 40 years, and he'd run thousands of full-page ads in the Wall Street Journal. And he wrote this full-page ad for my book, and he read it to me, and I thought it was terrible. I said, you gotta grab him, And he said, like what? And right on the spot, I created off the top of my head brainstorming, and he's in New York and I'm in Utah, and we're talking on the phone. And he says, like what? Like how would be the ideal time frame for you to buy a prop? And I said, in my mind, I'm going 30 days. I'm thinking, no, that's too long. It's just too long. 2 weeks, and this is all going on in my head. I'm not saying anything verbally to him yet. And then a week, I said, that still sounds too long. It's just, it's got to be dramatic. And I said, 3 days. In my head, 3 days was coming into my head. And I thought, is there a better, faster way to say it than 3 days? And I said, well, 72 hours, because hours sounds shorter than 3 days. And so I said, send me to any city. And I literally made this up on the spot as I was talking to him, creating a headline that was literally going to create my future. And it happened in 5 minutes. He said, how long would it take you? And I went, send me to any city, take away my wallet, give me 72 hours to buy an excellent piece of real estate, not a piece of junk, but an excellent piece of real estate using none of my own money. Send me to any city, take away my wallet, give me $100 bill, I need $100 to live. Give me $100 to live, and in 72 hours. And he said to me, can you do that? Well, I had just made it up on the spot. So what am I going to say to that? Can I do this? Is it possible to do this? And I said, sure. So my body language was not doing very well. He said, sure. So, and he said, if you could do that, we'll run that ad in the Los Angeles Times, in the Wall Street Journal. We'll run that ad in full-page ads all across the country. But we'll start in the Wall Street Journal. And now I had to decide whether I could do that or not. Because the first step in creating a system is to create a time frame that's kind of, the word I would use is sexy. I mean something that catches people's attention. It's got to be revolutionary. Revolutionary means to revolt against the way it's ordinarily done. To revolt. To say, I'm not going to spend 2 months talking to somebody. I'm not going to spend a month talking to somebody. Or generally speaking, I want to have it happen to fall within this certain time frame. Cool. For me, I put a deadline in my challenge, and it was a 72-hour deadline, and I had to produce. The LA Times reporter flew with me from Los Angeles to San Francisco. We got off the airplane. He gave me 5 $20 bills, and he said, you have 71 hours and 59 minutes. If you don't respond, if you don't succeed within 3 days, there'll be a headline in the Los Angeles Times, something like this: Robert Allen is a fraud. He said he could buy a property within 3 days, and that was BS. He didn't do it. We challenged him. We watched him. We were with him. He blew it. He's a fraud. So essentially that was the deadline. Could I do that? Well, the reason I'm going through this process with you today is we're going to take the top leaders in ARIIX and we're going to push them through this same framework with you. How long would it realistically take? Maybe even in a time frame of something that's revolutionary. Now, when I said my challenge that I could do it in 72 hours, did I know that I could do it? No. When the ad ran in the Wall Street Journal, no, I did not know I could do it. I had never done it. So what I had to do is I had to reverse engineer it. I had to ask myself the question, what would I do? How would I find a highly motivated seller, negotiate with that seller with no money, no credit, no cash flow, no job, no nothing but $100 bill? I had to reverse engineer it. And so I had about a month before when the LA Times called me on the phone and said, we challenge you. We've been seeing your ads in the Los Angeles Times. It says, send me to any city, take away your wallet. We're going to do that. We're going to select a city and we're going to fly you to that city unbeknownst to you where we're going. And a reporter will be right by your side watching your every move. And if you haven't bought a property with nothing down in 72 hours, there will be consequences, right? So I had to rethink, what would I really do? How would I find a highly motivated seller if I only had 72 hours? What kind of, first of all, there had to be, I knew that in the first 48 hours, I'd have to have massive action. I would have to talk to every person in San Francisco who was trying to sell a property. I would have to spread lots of seeds. I would have to talk to hundreds of people. So I had to go through in my mind, how do you talk to hundreds of people? How do you communicate? Where would you go? What would you talk to realtors? Would you talk to for sale by owners? Would you? And I'm asking us to reverse engineer an ideal time frame for enrolling a person who is an ideal person. That means a person who is seeking for an opportunity like we have. Not everybody is seeking. I was ultimately, myself personally, was ultimately an ideal customer for our network marketing opportunity, but it took 6 months for me to go through my negative thinking till finally I said, okay, well, I'll have a look at this, and then finally I'm in, and finally I'm all in. You know, it took a long time. And Dr. Pena, who spoke to us a couple weeks ago, for Luce to enroll him and to bring him out of a company he was already very successful in and to join ARIIX. And now, did you notice today he was invited to be part of the medical advisory board? We got an email on that just yesterday or today. Dr. Pena has now joined the medical advisory board in ARIIX. It took 9 years, 9 years. Well, what I'm asking everybody to think through this process for a minute. Let's say it was 72 hours. Is that realistic? Wrong word. Realistic would be a week, 2 weeks, a month, 2 weeks, or 2 months. You know, that's realistic. I want to design a system for us to create together here, where in our mind we have an exact process of what it would take to enroll somebody in a pretty remarkably fast way. Because if we could design the system like that, whomever would come in through that system would be trained how quickly they could do it themselves. Because however you bring somebody in, is the model that they have for how they would bring somebody in. So if it took a couple of months, follow-ups, periods of time, they know realistically, because it happened for them personally. That's what it took them personally to enroll in ARIIX. Therefore, if it took them 2 months, then they have been trained. They've been shown with a real personal example that it took them 2 months. And therefore, unconsciously, just almost without thinking too much about it, it's like, that's what it's probably going to take me to enroll somebody into this company. I'll have to, network with them. I'll have to send them a couple of emails, maybe a phone call or two. I'll have to set up in a meeting. We go to Starbucks. We have a conversation. We have to get back together again a couple of weeks later because my son had a birthday in the middle of it. And then they say, let me try the products. And it takes another 30 days before they have this visceral experience with the products. And they say, yeah, these really are good. I could really believe in this, and now it's taken 2 months. And so they go, well, I guess that's what it's going to take me. And the longer it takes, the more you are training them that that's what it's going to take. And what I would like everyone here to ponder, and I'm bringing you up to speed first, because I'm going to nail all the top, all the top leaders in the power anchors. I'm gonna ask them, how quickly could we do this in a realistic way? Because the faster it's done, faster it's done legally. That's got to be legal. It's got to be moral. It's got to be ethical. It's got to be something that the top leaders in ARIIX will be happy for us to do this way. But how long would it take? And now we have a time frame. See, for me, my challenge in San Francisco, I had a deadline, and I knew I had to produce in 72 hours. So I had to reverse engineer. Who would I talk to first? How many people would I have to talk to? What's the probability that one person that I talk to might be the type of highly motivated seller that I was looking for? And as a marketer, you realize that most people are not highly motivated to buy. Mine was just the opposite. I wanted someone who was highly motivated to sell. And I was going to buy that property and prove that anybody could do it because I didn't have any cash, credit, cash flow, collateral. So we're just doing just the opposite. We want to find a highly motivated buyer. How many of them are there? Well, any audience that you speak to, according to Chet Holmes, who wrote the book, The Ultimate Sales Machine, he has a graph that he shows. You'll have to imagine this because I'm at a place where I don't have a whiteboard. And so he has a pyramid at the very top. I want all of you to draw this because this is really very scientific marketing numbers. If I talk to 100 people, suppose there's an audience. Actually, what he said is, suppose there is a stadium filled with people. So you're going to talk to 50,000 people. What percentage of people are ready to buy right now? They are highly motivated to buy. They are looking for a solution to a problem that they currently have. They have an urgency problem. They either urgent of a problem they urgently want to solve, or they have a passion that they passionately want to satisfy. So those are the two kinds of criteria. Does your person fit with that category, into that perfect category? 3% of any audience, the way Chet Holmes would teach it, you would say 3% of the people in that audience want to buy some tires right now. In other words, you can pick any product, any product. And out of that 50,000 people, 3% want to buy some diapers right now. On the way home from the mall, from the stadium, they're going to stop at the store and get some diapers. 3% are going to want to have another income stream. They're looking for another stream of income. They realize they need to do something about it today. They procrastinated too long, and now today is the day they have to do something today. According to Chet, some people are highly motivated to buy. The second group and the second layer of the pyramid, the top of the pyramid is 3%. The second level is 7%. 7% of the people are in the market for. They may not be urgently needing it today, but within a short period of time, they are in the market for it. It's in the back of their mind. They know they got to get it. They may not, be needing it immediately, but within a week, within a shorter period of time, 7% are going to buy it sometime in the next week, 2 weeks, depends on the product, right? So that means that 10% of every audience you talk to, according to the marketing experts, are ready to buy. Some of them would need to buy it, need now, immediately. Some of them want to buy it, and the time frame is fairly short. That means 90% of the people are not in that mood. They're not in that mode. So when we talk to somebody, where are they? Are they in the 3%? Are they in the 7%? Or are they in the 30% in the third tier down the pyramid? The third tier are people who are just interested. Oh, yeah, I think I'd like one of these days. They're just interested. Okay, they're not actually looking and seeking, but they could be educated into buying more quickly. But it's not something that really is driving their behavior, right? So we have 40% of the people, 30 plus 7 plus 3, who are, generally speaking, they could be educated to move up the time frame to fit our narrow time frame that we're going to design here together. I'm going to ask you to be the marketing director for ARIIX. Suppose you had to teach everybody in ARIIX how to build their business. And there are thousands of ways to do it. You talk to every one of the top leaders, because they are entrepreneurs, they have difficulty doing it anyway, but the way they want to do it. It's just the way entrepreneurs are. They won't buy into a system. They want to make sure it's their system, which is one of the things that slows down the process. As soon as you enroll somebody, it's what happened to me. As soon as they enrolled me and I finally said, okay, I'm in, let's go for it. Since I was in a seminar model and I'd been doing seminars around the country, I says, I'm going to build it the way I've been building my seminar business. So in Del Mar, California, they did all kinds of marketing, spent all kinds of money, spent like $30,000 to fill up a whole stadium at the Del Mar Hilton. And I had, not stadium, but a whole room. We probably had 500 people in the room. And boy, did I learn real quickly, that's not the way you build network marketing. Because I was an entrepreneur and I had to do it my way because it was the only way I knew. So what I'm trying to teach you is the way you enroll somebody is the way they're going to think it's done. So I want all of us to try to decide what is an ideal time frame where if a person is in that top 10%, if I've found somebody who is seeking, looking, actively looking now, what would be a realistic, well, even faster than realistic, something that's could be revolutionary, where you could say, follow these steps, and you'll be enrolled, you'll learn how to do it in a fairly fast way so that you can learn by the fact you did it that way yourself, that's how it's possible for you to go enroll somebody. Now, it may take you a month for you to kind of get up to speed and kind of learn the compensation plan. But as soon as we say go, as soon as we say launch, we're launching now, we launch. From that moment when we launch, it's going to take X amount of time to find one, two, three people. Well, 4 people. We now have a model in ARIIX that we want to enroll 4 people in 2 months, right? 8 weeks. So that's at the very outside what we all want to do. 8 weeks. I'm trying to figure out a way to do that more quickly, to more, maybe not all 4, but at least one person who comes into your team so you can have some immediate success. Most people take longer, and therefore their success is slower. And since it's slower, they get distracted with other opportunities that seem faster. And therefore, if they're not in for the long haul, and it's 6 months before they finally are ready to do anything, most people can't last that long. They can't last. It's hard to last 8 weeks, to tell you the truth. Someone who's committed and dedicated and focused and determined that in 8 weeks from now they're going to enroll 4 people. What I'm going to ask all of you to think about, if you were redesigning the system for ARIIX enrollment, how would you design it? First step, I think, is to determine whether which level they are in. Are they in at the 3%? Are they in the 7%? Or in the 30%? Now, the bottom tiers, there's a 30%, the 4th tier and a 30% of the bottom tier of the pyramid. The bottom 30%, according to Chet Holmes, is people who will never buy. Never. Those are the bottom 30%. They'll never join your network marketing company. They'll never take a nutritional product. Never. It's just something that they will never consider. And so for those people, I personally think I was in that 30%. I was in that never going to do network marketing, never. So I'm trying to tell you that although the people may tell you never, there are still some people in the never tier on that pyramid who will eventually say yes. Why? Because life happens. And they may say now that I will never be involved. And then they realize that they have a health issue. So now they've gone from the bottom, never going to take a nutritional product, not even going to consider it, to the top 3% where my life is in danger mode. I got to do something different than the way I've lived my life up to this point. And so an event happens that drives people from the bottom tier all the way to the top. That's why you never give up on anybody, ever, even though they say they're never going to be involved, because a certain percentage of those people will be, not only will they be involved, they will be your best people. I am, for my person who sponsored me, excuse me, I am ideal. Went from never to I'm all in for the rest of my life. The third, or the tier right above the never group, are the people who are I'm not even considering, not even thinking. They're not a never person, but they're a no. They're a no. No, I'm not going to do that. No, never going to take those. No. It's not a never, but it's kind of a soft no. Some of those people are going to be part of your, so the system will have to address the ideal person who you can enroll in a certain period of time, our ideal customer with our ideal time frame. And we want to design a system so that if that person comes into our presence, we can say, let's do these things. These are the things I want you to do. These are the links I want you to go watch. These are this is the video I want you to watch about the compensation plan. If they watched all the links that you sent them to, and they did it, if they were in a a desperate mode to solve the problem, they could do it in a day. If they had to fit it into their life and they weren't necessarily desperate, but if they really were interested, like seriously interested, they could certainly do it within 3 days. I think that's very, very possible. At the outside, I think a week. Now, I'm giving you my opinion. That's why I'm asking your opinion. I'm going to ask you, okay, we found one of the 7 and the 3%. We found them. They are hot. They are in the hot market. Now, there's what we call warm market, and then there's what we call cold market. So the hot are the 7 and the 3%. They're hot. They need to make a decision immediately. That's hot. The warm are people that you warm up, and it may take a little bit longer. It may take a month. What do you send them? Well, you're going to educate them. In fact, this book, The Ultimate Sales Machine, that Chet wrote, Chet no longer is with us. He had some serious health issues in his 50s and he's gone. But his book was very profound and I absolutely love it. What he's saying is that this pyramid fits the people who are hot and the people in the middle are, I call them warm. In network marketing, we call it your warm market and your cold market. I think it needs to be hot, warm, and cold. They're going to fit into, the people you talk to are going to fit into one of those 3 categories. They're either going to be hot, and I think these are 72-hour people. They're going to be warm. It might take you a week or 2, maybe as long as a month to warm them up. And you're going to warm them up using education. What Chet was famous for is that the people, usually marketers only talk to the 3%. And if they are not hot to trot, as we say, then they literally say goodbye and they go next. And they are always looking for the ones who are hot because it's easy to enroll somebody who's hot. They are motivated. They're ready to buy. Chet was saying that's too strong. We need to find the people that are hot, and I'm going to give them the top 10%. They're hot. When I would do a seminar and market a seminar to a person who wanted to buy multiple streams of income, for instance, and they were an entrepreneur and they were looking for another stream of income, I knew that whatever audience I was speaking to could be 100 people, or it could be 11,000 people like I spoke to in Tokyo last year. I know, I just, viscerally, I just know that 10% of those people are ready to decide today. So when I'm speaking to an audience, in Italy, for instance, I wish I could go to Italy and speak, but COVID-19 kind of knocked that out for this year. I had a lot of speaking engagements all lined up in Italy and China and Japan and Australia, all over the world. COVID-19 killed that business. I hope 2021 will come back again. But the point is, whatever audience I'm looking at, I know 10% of the people came, they're ready to buy now. And I just need to provide the motivation, the information for them to decide in 2 hours. So for me, if the audience is there and you give me 2 hours, the ones who are on the fence will be in by 2 hours later. I just have a certain time frame. I know what I will know what it takes. And so it's a different audience than a network marketing audience. So I'm not trying to say that they're not the same, that they are the same. They're not. But what I'm trying to say is usually in every audience you talk to, 10% of them are going to be in that hot category. So the question I'm going to ask you is, how many people do you need to talk to? If you talk to 10 people, that means one probably was ready to make a decision. But it still means I have to talk to 10. It means 9 people are either going to be a hell no, use the language, or they're going to be a soft no. They're going to go, nah, I don't think so. Or they're going to be, maybe. And then there's going to be a yeah. And there's going to be a hell yeah. Yeah, I want this now, right? So between those two, the top of the pyramid and the bottom of the pyramid, you got the ones that are yes, yes with a big yes, and ones with a big no. And you have to handle both of them. So what is your system for running people through that process? That has to be part of the system, doesn't it? In other words, I got to figure out a way to have enough people come into the top of my funnel so that ultimately one of them out of the 10 drops into, yeah, let's go. And the rest of them remain in that funnel to be educated. Even the heck knows, I'll change my language, even the heck knows are going to say, I know I'm not interested in your healthy product. Sorry, don't bother me with it. But ultimately, eventually, they're going to have a health crisis that's going to force them to make a decision. And if you are in their head, if you are part of their space, because you're reminding them constantly, maybe once a month or once every 2 months or once every 3 months, you're showing up in their email box somehow to let them know that you're still around. Eventually they'll go, oh, well, okay, let's go. But if you're not dripping, as we say in network marketing, you need to drip on them. You drip on them constantly, carefully, respectfully, but dripping information over a period of time. So eventually somebody in that group says yes. So we're designing together a hot system. How long will it take? I'm going to say 72 hours. If they're hot, let's go. That means you have to be willing to go at 100% when they say yes, let's go. That means part of the system has to be not only them being ready to go, hot to trot, you are hot to trot. You'll be able to invest the same amount of time that they invest. And that matter of fact, whatever they invest, you match. If they are really slow, you go really slow. If they're really fast, you got to go really fast. And you have to go full speed. If I can get a system so that 10% of them have maybe a 72-hour window, and you know exactly what to do every hour of those 72 hours, you can actually, the way you would do it, you would actually do that with them. Whatever system is you're going to create, that as soon as they say, let's go, I'm interested, you know exactly what they get. First, second, third, fourth, whatever the steps are, all the way to enrollment. You know exactly what those steps are. Most network marketers don't know what those steps are. They just don't have a system. Then with the warm market, what's your system? If it's going to take a little bit longer, hopefully they'll fit within the 8-week time frame. So we got at least a couple of our people are going to fit within that 8-week time frame. Hopefully we can do it within a 30-day time frame, so that we have enough wiggle room, so that if it takes a little longer than 30 days, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, we can make sure that our brand new person can enroll their 4 within 8 weeks. So I'm going to shorten the warm system to 30 days. Somebody comes in and they say they're kind of warm, they're kind of interested. What's the system of educating them? Where do we send them? How do we train them so that over a 30-day period of time they go, yeah, I think I could do this. So now they had 30 days, and that was what time it took them. Therefore, they've been trained that it takes 30 days. So how can we get them to do that 4 times, in the next 8 weeks? They've got to enroll 4 people in the next 8 weeks. So what's the system? I'm asking lots of questions here because I want you to turn on your genius brain and to go, if my life depended on me in creating a system that was so specific and so simple, so easy to teach, that they could teach it to somebody else. So simple again, that they could remember, so memorable, that you could do it you could do it on your hand. You'd say, do this, this. Simple. That they would remember it and that they would have gone through it so they know what it's like because they did it for them. They enrolled themselves that way. If your life depended on it, well, how would you create it? See, this is the way, when I think about creating a new system, this is life depended on it. So another challenge that I did, send me to any with access to the internet. Send me any website with access to the internet, and it's in 24 hours I'll make at least $24,000 in cash. Send me to any. Send me to, and put me at the front of any computer with access to the internet, and in 24 hours I'll make $24,000 in cash. Now, when I said that, I had no clue how I was going to do it. I started off by saying, how long would it take me? Realistically, it would take me, well, gosh, I'd have to build a database, and I'd have to find a product that would sell, and how would I do it? And I said, well, at least 30 days, maybe 90 days to do that. And then I start shrinking the time frame. Could we do it in a month? Could we do it in a week? Could we do it in a day? Sit me at a computer with access to the internet, and in 24 hours, I started to say to myself, well, that would be really hard, because how would you do that? How would you make $24,000 in cash from like accessing a group of people on the internet like that? The way my brain works is I want to create something that's fast and it's memorable and it's marketable. And so to finish up, we're going a little bit long here today. Bottom line was, when I did that challenge with live cameras watching, we sent an email to some people on the internet that I had been gathering, and I made not $24,000 in 24 hours, but $94,000 in 24 hours. Within 30 hours, we're at $115,000. In other words, it was way faster than I thought. It was way much bigger than I expected, imagined. But I had to reverse engineer it. I had to go, what would you have to do? How would you do it? Where would you find the people? What would you market them? How would you generate the revenue? Where would they give a credit card? What would it be? I'm gonna ask all of us together today if your life depended on it. Like, I know it would never depend on it, but just this is the way my brain thinks. I'm kind of crazy at this. I go, if I haven't enrolled somebody in 72 hours, starting from zero, I'm going to do something starting in a minute from now. And 72 hours from now, I have to find somebody, enroll them, educate them, in 72 hours from this very second. And if I can't show you the enrollment form filled out and signed with the money invested and out of their bank account within 72 hours, you take me out in the backyard and shoot me. It changes the dynamic a little bit, doesn't it? And you go, because most people, when they build their business, don't have that kind of thinking. They go, well, it might take me a month. But most people don't have a deadline. And when I create something, there is a dead line, a real dead line. Not done within 72 hours, I'm dead. Now, of course, I never follow through on that challenge, but in my mind, that's the pressure I put myself under. And so I'm starting today asking you that question. Now, I'm going to have all of you send me your system. Let's suppose it's 72 hours from now. I have to find somebody, find the right ideal customer who's in the top 10%. I have to have them say yes, do the training, whatever training it takes, and qualify by having them enroll themselves by going to a link online where they can enroll themselves and send you the proof within 72 hours. How would you do it? Now, I can tell you what I would do. That's not what we're doing today. I'm asking you what you would do. Because if you create it, you'll do it. If you just learn somebody else's system, more than likely you won't do it. Because we're all so darn individual. We're entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurs talk about independent. We are just independent. We have a hard time learning somebody else's system and just doing it. So I'm going to ask you, what's your system? I want you to email me the system. You can email me at author@robertallen.com. I'd like to see it. Because eventually, if it's clear to you exactly what you would do, then you could say to the person you just enrolled, because they went through your system, you could say, did you see what we just did? Did you notice how I found you? Did you know the first email that I sent you, or first training that I sent you to? Did you notice the process that I took you through? You just did it. So I just want to remind you, that's the system. And it consists of, I'm going to make this up for you, 7 steps. And the 7 steps are, number 1, and you just did it. Number 2, didn't we go through that together? Number 3, number 4, here are the 7 steps. Now, how are you going to remember the system? You got to come up with some kind of a way to hang the system on something that they can remember. It could be a metaphor of some sort. A metaphor where they go, it's like climbing a mountain, Stage 1, you get your equipment ready, stage whatever. And then we reach the top of the mountain. That's a metaphor. It could be a butterfly. There's stage 1, that's the cocoon. Stage 2 is the chrysalis, I don't even know what it is, metamorphosis. And stage 4 is the butterfly, right? I want you to, what's a metaphor you could use to teach your new person, and so that they would go, oh, well, I could do that. That's when they hear your system, they've got to say those magic words. I could do that. That's just what you did with me. Oh, Well, I could teach somebody else how to do that because it's memorable, it's simple, powerful. I'm going to ask, you guys you're the best. So you're the ones that I expect several dozen systems. And I will share all the systems with everybody. So send it to me you can do it in an email. I can copy and paste it into a Word document and make sure everybody gets one for next week. Rather than you just watching and hearing what Robert and Rick want to share with you, I'm going to ask you to turn the tables back on you. Tell us what your system is. What should it be? For the hot, for the warm, for the cold. If they're not hot, then they're going to take a little bit longer. What's that system look like? If they're not warm, but they are cold, like no or hell no, then what's that system look like? Now we started getting more complicated because we got to have 3 different kinds of systems for 3 different groups of people. All I want for you to share with me for next week is what's the hot system? And it's 72 hours. Okay? All right, everybody. That is your assignment for next week. All right? All those who are willing to accept that assignment, raise your hands and say, I. Okay, all right. Now, you said you would do it, right? You said it? What if you don't do it? What if I don't get an email from you between now and next week and you didn't do it? Werner, what should we do to him? Yeah, no, no, not that. No, not the deadline, not that kind. No, what should we do? What if you don't send it in? There has to be a consequence. The reward is you did it. The consequence is you didn't do it. So what do I get? What do we get here? So tell us, what do you, not shoot me. No, Ronnie, don't do that. What is the consequence? There has to be a consequence. Otherwise, you'll just forget this. What's the consequence? Type, chat. I want to see it. $200 to an ARIIX charity. Ooh, that hurts. Of course, that'd be great for the charity. Well, they get to say their names. No, that's not good enough. Their embarrassment's not bad enough. I like the maybe $100, maybe $100 to an ARIIX charity. I like it. Okay. What do you think, everybody? You agree with that? I like that, says Anthony. You agree with that? It's easy. All you have to do is to send me an email. Well, how hard can that be? So if you don't do it, $100. Rick, you help us choose what are the favorite charities, okay? Because the charity's going to make some money next week. All right, so those of you who are willing to make this commitment, raise your hands and say I. Okay, now keep your hands up. I'm going to take a screenshot. I took a screenshot of everybody with their hands up. Okay, so there's one more time. I'm going to do a screenshot. Everybody raise your hands. Okay. All right, I have the proof. Your hands up. I have the proof. Okay, Daryl, I got the proof. You did it. Anthony, you said $100. Okay, I got you. Melissa, all right. Takahiro, Diana, Katarina. All right, everybody. See you next week. You got some work to do. If your life depended on it, what's your system?